is like a character.
Now your background is not as long as ours is normally.
Galactus is like
Yeah. I'm gonna let you. All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the Virtual Graphic Novel Club. My name's Erica.
And I'm Roland.
And today we will be jumping into part one because this is a long and lengthy coverage of the Marvel Cosmos. If anybody went and saw Multiverse of Madness this week, a lot of these characters, a few of these characters were mentioned in the Multiverse of Madness. So today I'm going to turn it over to Roland to give you guys the background.
All right, and we'll jump right on in. Now, the Marvel Universe basically has had a few iterations of itself before it destroyed. Well, each one destroyed itself or was destroyed, and a new one was created. So we'll jump all the way back to the first one. The first Firmament basically is the embodiment of the first universe to ever exist. He was the creator of the aspirants and the celestials, powerful cosmic beings whose conflict almost destroyed him. Barely surviving the ordeal, the first Firmament grew resentful over time as he watched the multiverse that replaced him pass through multiple renewal cycles, leading him to eventually attack the personification of its 8th iteration. In the beginning, there was only one universe, and that was the first Firmament. Loneliness led it into making life, resulting in the birth of several celestial beings. The Dark Ones, whom the Firmament named aspirants, were industrious in their worship of it, seeking its approval whenever they created life on their own. But the multicolored ones, who later became known as celestials, wanted their creations to evolve and for the universe to evolve with them, and thus know growth, change, and mortality. This divergence of ideas ushered in a war that ended with the first Firmament being shattered into pieces by the weapons of the multicolored rebels, forcing it to flee in terror to the farthest reaches of being with the remaining aspirants. Hundreds of new universes were born from the first Firmament's pure substance, forming a new collective being who was the second cosmos and first multiverse. The first Firmament watched from the void as the celestials colonized the second cosmos, evolving their own servitors and calling them Omegas in opposition to the Alpha their creator was. As time passed by, the multiverse died and time again, only to be reborn and evolved soon afterwards, filling the Firmament with hatred as it wanted to reclaim its position as the embodiment of everything. This feeling gave it patience to choose the right moment to attack, which came following the restoration of the multiverse as the 8th cosmos. Taking advantage of the weakened state in which eternity, the current personification of the multiverse, was left in the wake of his death and resurrection, the first Firmament bound him in chains and started to feed on him. Meanwhile, the aspirants entered eternity to damage him whenever and however they could. After 2 of the cosmic aspects, Lord Chaos and Master Order, were corrupted by the aspirants, the first Firmament influenced them into murdering the living Tribunal, the personification of multiversal law, and merging together to replace him as Logos. Logos then executed the Celestials and forced Galactus to change from the Lightbringer back to Devourer of Worlds. However, that change was reversed by the Anti-Man, Herald of Galactus, at the cost of his own life. In order to stop the first Firmament and aid eternity, Galactus gathered Ego Prime, Psyhawk, the Infinite, and the Ghost of the Shaper of Worlds to form the Eternity Watch. The Eternity Watch confronted Logos and the aspirants in the Superflow. At the same time, the Maker foolishly used the High Evolutionary's technology to bring down the Superflow in an attempt to unify the multiverse into a single reality and to strengthen eternity. When this process proved to be counterproductive as it made it easier for the first Firmament to consume eternity, Galactus had Shaper's Ghost teleport the Ultimates, a team of superheroes from Earth that Galactus had reformed to help in his quest against the first Firmament, to the High Evolutionary's counter-Earth. With the help of the resurrected Ultimates of Earth 1610, Galactus's Ultimates managed to reverse the damage caused to the Superflow and restored the multiverse to its normal state. Galactus and the Eternity Watch subsequently resumed their confrontation against the agents of the first firmament. With the help of Black Panther's ascended astral form and the rebirth Celestials, the Eternity Watch defeated the aspirants and Logo. The first firmament was also defeated when Eternity summoned the past incarnations of the multiverse to his aid, the Ultimate Ultimates. After being chained, the first firmament was taken by the Ultimate Ultimates to the next place where they hoped to heal their king.
All right, that's that background.
Now
we're going to cover the 4 points of the Marvel's cosmological compass. First on that list,
Eternity.
Eternity. He was first introduced in Strange Tales number 138 in August 1965. Eternity is the embodiment of Earth 616. He was born as the offspring of the larger multiversal Eternity in the 7th incarnation of the multiverse. Eternity is an abstract entity that embodies Earth 616 reality along with its sister counterpart, Infinity, with whom Eternity is one. So they're kind of yin and yang to one another. Their authority on Earth 616 is only surpassed by the living Tribunal. Eternity is also the personification of time. It can spawn several children or concepts that can become separate and independent entities. These include empathy, eulogy, expedience, entropy, infamy, enmity, and eon.
And one more, epiphany.
Oh, epiphany, yes. Although the last was eventually killed and replaced in the turn of the concept of epoch.
All right. So next we have the sister to Eternity, or the brother, or however you want to call it, the other part of which is Infinity. And Infinity's first appearance would be Quasar number 24 in May of 1991. Now, Infinity actually has a counterpart in Oblivion. Infinity appeared to Quasar when he entered his quantum bands into the quantum zone. It was revealed that Infinity is the source of Quasar's quantum bands. When Maelstrom, as the avatar of Oblivion, attempted to destroy the universe, Quasar was able to stop him by becoming the avatar of Infinity. Infinity, the sister of Eternity.
So it is a she.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is, yeah. All right, next on the list is Death. Death was first introduced in Marvel Mystery Comics number 21 in May of 1941. I'm going to call her she, but she can be he or it or whatever they would like to be. Death is the opposite of eternity. Eternity brings life and growth, whereas death brings destruction and rot. She has no true physical form, but can manifest in such a form as to interact with physical entities. Although she usually appears as a human or a human skeleton, presumably it appears to other species in their own forms. Death rarely speaks aloud. It's a presence alone and can usually convey its message. Her home is in the realm of death. She formed an attachment to only two major Marvel characters, and that was Thanos and Deadpool. She eventually returned Thanos' affections, but with one condition, that he belonged to only her. This led to the twisted love affair that caused Thanos to destroy planets and former lovers along with his children. His father, Alars, convinced him that eventually he could just be mad, not seeing death at all, at his own madness, but that was not true because he did see death. And it caused him to go down another road, which we will talk about in the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Wars, and Infinity Gauntlet, which we will later cover. And that is death.
All right, and next up we have Oblivion, the fourth point on Marvel's cosmological compass. Oblivion's first appearance was in Iceman #1 in August of '84. Now, Oblivion is the cosmic abstract entity and the progenitor of death. Oblivion predates the multiverse and represents non-existence and is a counterforce to the expanding universe. Oblivion has a very close relationship with death, and the two may be different aspects of the same being, just as infinity and eternity are. Just like eternity and death have a strong rivalry, Oblivion has a strong rivalry with infinity, a rivalry usually fought through avatars. Oblivion usually resides inside a pocket dimension known as the outer world.
And those are the 4 points. Next on our list is the Living Tribunal. Now, Roland covered him earlier in his background, but his first appearance was in Strange Tales number 157 in March of 1967 as a cameo. He had a full appearance in Strange Tales, April 1967, and his death was in the New Avengers Volume 3, number 30 in February of 2015. Created by the one above all, the Living Tribunal's sole purpose is to keep the multiverse safe from imbalance of mystical forces. It also acts to prevent overwhelming imbalance of good or evil within the universe. For example, it may act to prevent one universe from amassing more power than any of the other ones, or from upsetting the cosmic balance in some way. However, he does not exist simultaneously in multiple planes of reality, giving the appearance of multiple variations to human perceptions. The tribunal manifests itself as a being with 3 faces, which represents the 3 sides of the tribunal's personality. Its front face, though which it usually speaks, represents equity. The full hooded face on its right side represents necessity, and the partial hooded face on its left represents just revenge. All 3 voices must agree in order to cast in a case before a tribunal can intervene. And that is the Living Tribunal.
All right, the
And
next.
if you've seen Multiverse, he was mentioned here. And I'm not going to say anymore because Roland has not.
I have not seen it yet. All
Okay.
right. No. All right, so next up in the list, we have Lord Order and Master Chaos, who basically first appeared in Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2, September of '77. Now, they pretty much exist together in the cosmos as agents of universal balance, being personifications of chaos and order. Master Order and Lord Chaos, in turn, created the In-Betweener, which is another character. If you look down and you see the character in black and white and on the trestle board, or what we call the chessboard, that is a character in Marvel called the In-Betweener that was created by Master Order and Lord Chaos. Now, the In-Betweener planned to maintain a cosmic balance by creating universal insanity. He began by manipulating the Fantastic Four to fight amongst themselves over the Infinity Gems. However, Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange witnessed this and summoned Master Order and Lord Chaos, who imprisoned the In-Betweener in the magic realm. When Thanos acquired the Infinity Gauntlet, he again caught the attention of Master Order and Lord Chaos, Mistress Love, Master Hate, Galactus, Eternity, Kronos, and Adam Warlock. All of these celestial figures joined forces and defeated Thanos when Adam Warlock stole his Infinity Gauntlet.
I'm sorry. Is the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the gauntlet from the movies that they took, it has a much longer history than what they give us
in the
MCU.
Okay.
So when the multiverse basically, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna step back. There was a storyline where the Beyonders basically destroyed the whole Earth 616 realm. Now it was brought back as just like something like Thanos snap, where it happened and then everything was put back in place, so nobody actually knows except for these cosmic beings. But when the Beyonders, when the multiverse was destroyed by the Beyonders, basically after that happened, they were able to basically come back. It's the comics.
Yeah.
So when the multiverse was recreated, the cosmic entities also returned to life, including Lord Chaos and Master Order. Now, what happened is they became disgruntled with Galactus's evolution from a force of this happened. This is that storyline where Galactus is changed from a force of destruction to a life brand. So they were kind of mad that, you know, his nature had changed. And basically they said that he threatened the cosmic balance. They eventually put him on trial before the living tribunal. The tribunal ruled in Galactus's favor and allowed him to remain in his new form, claiming that the universe is in a new iteration, meaning the cosmic hierarchy wasn't established anew. Master Order and Lord Chaos took this counsel to heart and murdered the tribunal in order to take his place as the personification of multiversal law. They attempted to turn Galactus back to his world devourer form. However, for the same reason Order and Chaos could kill the living tribunal, they couldn't stop Galactus from fighting back his transformation. If there wasn't a hierarchy yet, it meant Galactus was also on the same level as Order and Chaos, so they couldn't impose their will on him. Because of this, Order and Chaos sought their servant, the in-betweener, and forced him to become the uniting force in a fusion that combined Master Order and Lord Chaos into a single being, the self-proclaimed New Order, Logos. Logos would eventually be defeated and split apart into the individual beings that composed it by the ascended astral form of the Black Panther. Both Lord Chaos and Master Order would later be confronted by the reborn living tribunal for their misconduct. So
that is Lord Chaos and Master.
Now, do they show them in multiple? See, that's where they went wrong. These are the people they should.
No, wait, they may have mentioned them.
Okay.
But I'm waiting on you to see that.
Okay, yeah, don't say that.
Well, no, I'm like,
No,
I don't know. You know, I don't know Marvel like that. You know, I appreciate it, but I don't know it like that.
All right.
Next on our list is the Celestials. You may be familiar with them if you saw the Eternals, the MCU movie, or just in general, the Celestials. Their first appearance was Eternals #1, April 1976. The Celestials are powerful cosmic beings created by the first Firmament, and the Celestials rebelled against their creator and aspirant counterparts in a war that shattered the universe into the first multiverse. The Celestials are involved in the creation of new universes, including that of Prime Marvel Universe. That's 616, am I correct? Awesome. The Celestial visits planets and is known as Celestial Host to experiment on them and judge lower life forms. Aren't they nice? They create Eternals and Deviants from selected species. For Earth, their first host created Homo Immortalis and Homo Decivis and inserted a latent gene into the baseline of humanity that causes mutations. The second host destroyed the deviant kingdom of Lemura and caused the sinking of Atlantis. Oh, that's where a boy came. Everybody has a story for Atlantis. The third host forced the gods of Earth to submit and vow not to interfere with the Celestials' work. Now, is that the gods of Zeus and them, or the gods of the Eternals?
I think it was the Asgardians.
Oh, the Asgards?
Yeah, the Asgardians and the Eternals and the
the Greek.
Panther.
Yeah. Okay. So so they would not interfere with the
Right.
Celestials'
So
work.
let's not forget the Egyptians as well.
Yes, the
Remember
Egyptians also, because we're dealing with that now. If you
Yeah.
watch Moon Knight. Yeah, there's so many.
Well,
There's so many.
if you notice in Moon Knight, actually, let's step away from this for a second. In Moon Knight, there was a scene, and I'm only talking about it because it wrapped up last. If you hadn't seen it, spoiler alert. But basically, I mean, it's not that big of a spoiler alert, but you know, you're dealing with the Egyptian god, the Egyptian pantheon of gods, and so in there, they're asking, you know, well, why are we using avatars to fight our battles? And it basically said, hey, you know, there became a time when we decided that we would not interfere
Gotcha.
with man.
They were
And
forced
but
to.
that goes across, yeah, that goes across because you find that same excuse and that same story with the Asgardians. You find it with
Odin.
the Greeks, and you find it with any of the other Earth-based pantheons.
Because that was the whole, when we covered the Eternals, that was their whole excuse. They could not interfere.
Cannot interfere.
So the third host forced the gods of Earth to submit and about not to interfere with the Celestials' work. The fourth host came to judge Earth. The Asgardians and the Eternals tried to fight, but were easily defeated. The fourth host, after Gaia, offered them 12 of Earth's finest mortals, proving humanity's worth. In addition, one Celestial came to Earth 4 billion years before the other Celestials and died. Its bodily fluids spilled into the planet, changing it forevermore. According to Loki, it is because of this giant cosmic accident that the Earth is so unique among all the planets in the universe for being such a hotbed for superpowered matters. Okay. All right, and next on our list is the Watchers. They just remind me of the Green Lantern Watchers. Same little things. Their first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 13 in January 1963. These Watchers were known as the oldest species in the universe and committed to observing and compelling knowledge on all aspects of the universe without interference. If you watched What If on Disney Plus, you saw the Watcher.
Yeah, he's the narrator.
Yep, he is the narrator. Great. Get a chance, watch it. It's great. The original name for this race has been forgotten. They adopted the name after the task they perform. This policy of non-interference was due to well-meaning attempt by the Watchers to bestow knowledge on one another race, which resulted in that race destroying itself. Despite this, the Watchers, Uatu, revealed himself to the superhero team Fantastic Four and aided them on several occasions against global threats such as the Molecule Man, Galactus, and the Overmind. After blatant interference with the mission of the Kree soldiers, Marvel, Uatu was put to trial by his own race, but was released with one provision that he would never directly interfere again. It did not say he could not interfere again. It just said he couldn't directly interfere like that little escape there for him. Uatu was later banished by his race for aiding the Fantastic Four against the threat of his rogue nephew, Aaron, the renegade Watcher who tried to destroy the universe. Okay, so he gets to destroy the universe. The dreaming Celestials later scanned Uatu and learned that the Watcher had broken his pact of non-interference almost 400 times. The Celestials also revealed that the Watcher, like the Celestials themselves, were servants of a concept called fulcrum, yes, with apparent consequences for interference. The Watchers deposited all their knowledge into a single enormous Watcher known as the One, and also the Cyclopedia Universum. Oh, that's cute. And that is the Watchers. So they just fill up this one little Watcher, and they're like walking encyclopedia.
Pretty much. All right, next up, we have Galen, aka Galactus, the World Eater. Now, Galactus is the sole survival of the sixth incarnation of the multiverse. Originally, he was a humanoid named Galen, born in the previous incarnation of Earth 616 on the planet Top. It was a paradise-like world whose civilization is said to have been the most advanced of any of the known universes at that time. So now he was Galen was the genetically engineered son of Taia, the closest thing Ta had to a superhero. Due to her obligations to the planet, she was a neglectful mother, giving him very little human contact and leaving a technologically advanced crib to raise him. When his mother brought home his time-traveling future herald, the Silver Surfer, decided to use the opportunity to teach him compassion, hoping it would encourage him to try harder to resist his hunger in the future.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is he human? Is he human or is he a planet?
No, he was
He was
human.
human. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into all that.
You didn't put my favorite picture of him as the
What?
planet eating with the little feet.
Oh, no. That's, you know why I did not do that? Because what you get in the MCU, well, not even in the MCU, because it's only been shown in Fantastic Four.
He just got
But he
this
was
big
shown
black-
as a cloud.
Yeah, this big black
With
cloud.
tentacles coming
Yeah.
out of it, and that's
Right.
furthest from
And
the
I
truth.
think they gave him a face towards the end where you see him trying to swallow.
Yeah, but it was like still a cloud. Like in the MCU, he has always been a large humanoid, the size of a planet, who rode in a spaceship.
Yep.
But he could come out of that spaceship in a chair. No, his chair was the size of a planet. His spaceship was the size of several planets. All right, so this basically when this iteration of the universe was about to end, Ta's civilization was one of the last still in existence. Now, lethal radiation caused by this big crunch that the universe was experiencing was wiping out all life across this universe. Galen, a space explorer, was dispatched to travel through the cosmos to find a means of saving Ta, but he found none. The radiation eventually killed off all but a tiny fraction of the population of Ta. Knowing their deaths were inevitable, Galen proposed to the remaining survivors that they die gloriously by piloting one of their starships directly into the heart of the cosmic egg. As the starship containing Galen and his fellow survivors approached the focal point of the big crunch, the heat and radiation killed all the passengers except for Galen, who strangely found himself filled with new energy. When the cosmos was going to meet its natural end, Galen was then approached by the embodiment of the sixth infinity, the sentience of the multiverse, who merged its essence with the mortal Galen, this way giving birth to a new entity who would survive the multiversal renewal, Galactus, the devourer of worlds. Now, the story of the Black Winter presented an alternative account of Galen's survival, claiming it had spared him and turned him into Galactus to mark him as its herald. So that's two storylines that Marvel had, and what we're gonna do, we'll stick with the one of him being the flying into the sun with his cronies to save everything, because it's closer to what all the other storylines lead up to.
Okay.
All right. Now, after the multiverse ended its renewal cycle, the seventh cosmos originated from the ashes of the sixth, infinity, and with it, its new embodiments, eternity and infinity. The newborn Galactus eventually ended up in the seventh iteration of his universe, now called Earth 616. The nascent Galactus drifted in his recreated starship for eons as life began to come into existence in the universe, including the races that would give rise to the elders of the universe. Eventually, pretty sure it said Galactus. Eventually, Galactus's starship was sighted by Isi of the Watchers, in the ancient species who possessed vast psionic and energy manipulation powers, who had undertaken to observe the events of the universe. Isi drew the starship down to his planet to study it. There he learned that the being within it had power beyond comprehension and would eventually be forced to consume entire worlds to satiate his hunger for life-sustaining energy. Realizing the danger the nascent Galactus posed to the cosmos, this watcher considered destroying the entity, who was still vulnerable due to his metamorphic state, but instead decided to abide by the watcher's oath of non-interference and let the nascent Galactus depart in his starship. Although over time, the Watcher race has come to understand that Galactus is an intrinsic and necessary component to the natural order of the cosmos, Isi has expressed guilt over his decision those billions of years ago and feels partially responsible for the destruction Galactus has caused since. Now, Galactus employed his vastly limitless strength and power and created a suit of armor to help him regulate his raging internal energies. He then transformed the starship of Galen into a kind of incubator where Galactus spent thousands upon thousands of years evolving into his current form. His incubator finally crashed on the surface of Ego, the living planet, causing him pain as it began to drain his life force. Ego saved the time-displaced Silver Surfer from Null, and the Surfer repaid the favor by removing the incubator from him. The Surfer, knowing that what Galen would become, planned to destroy the being before birth. However, Uatu the Watcher warned the Surfer that despite the destruction he would bring, Galactus would be important for the balance of the universe. The Surfer then enters the incubator, intent on absorbing Galactus' power cosmic to restore himself. But he was confronted by Galen. The two talked, and eventually the Silver Surfer decided to spare him and remove the incubator off Ego and set it on the course to Archeopia. The Archeopians themselves did not disturb the strange ship, but years later, a marauding space fleet nearing Archeopia and thinking Galactus' ship to be a weapon, attacked it. Galactus, with his metamorphosis complete, emerged and with a gesture destroyed the invading fleet. Realizing his uncontrollable hunger for energy, Galactus turned his attention upon the energy-rich Archeopia below. He immediately consumed the life energies of Archeopia, with only a small fleet of Archeopian ships managing to escape the planet in time. Now, Galactus has, in order to basically find his planets that he needs to feed, he basically requires the use of a herald. And he plucks people from different races that he comes in contact with to be this herald, to basically go out and search for planets to provide them sustenance, because space is still a large place and every planet cannot sustain him. So now what we will do, we will jump into the heralds of Galactus. We won't get in deep with them, but we'll just tell you a little short bit about each one of them. And I'll start with the Fallen One. Basically, his history of heralds remains kind of vague, but it is believed that his first herald was being known simply as the Fallen One. And like the heralds that would follow him, the Fallen One was given the power cosmic. However, the Fallen One was too hostile and unpredictable for Galactus to control. So the World Devourer eventually imprisoned him.
Next on that list is the Silver Surfer, my favorite. Perhaps humbled by his experience with the Fallen One, Galactus seemingly did not create another herald for eons. However, when Galactus threatened to destroy Zinla, Norenrad offered to become the World Devourer's servant if Galactus would spare his home world. Galactus agreed and imbued Rad with a small fraction of his cosmic power, transforming him into the herald known as the Silver Surfer. As Galactus' new herald, the Surfer was dedicated to finding uninhabited but energy-rich world for Galactus to consume.
All right, next up we have the Arrow. Now, Galactus chose Gabriel Land, who was the captain of a Xandarian exploration vessel, to become his next herald. A member of the Nova Corps, Land was brave and prone to wanderlust. He did not refuse Galactus's offer of immense power and unlimited freedom to travel the universe under his own power. Galactus gave Land a tiny portion of his power cosmic, transforming Gabriel into the Airwalker. The Airwalker served Galactus faithfully for years and even befriended the World Devourer. However, he eventually sacrificed himself to protect Galactus from a fleet of ovoid warships. Galactus was weak from hunger and could not protect or resuscitate Land, but eventually managed to transfer Gabriel's consciousness into a robot replica of the Airwalker. Unfortunately, Land's personality and passion for exploration did not survive the process, and the Airwalker automaton was a hollow image of Galactus's former friend and ally.
And next on our list is Firelord. Iris Creel was the first officer aboard Gabriel Land's Xandarian exploration vessel, and was present when his friend was seemingly kidnapped by the alien starship belonging to Galactus. Determined to rescue his captain, Creel took command of the exploration vessel and pursued Galactus across the universe. Years passed, but Creel did not give up his quest. Eventually, Creel located Galactus' ship and, unaware that Land had already been slain battling the ovoids, teleported upon the massive vessel. Krill confronted Galactus and demanded that Land be released. Impressed by the man's courage, Galactus offered him to reveal Land's fate if Krill agreed to become his new herald. Krill accepted the offer, receiving the power of Cosmic and becoming Firelord. Firelord's servitude to Galactus was extremely short-lived. While on a mission to Earth, Firelord encountered Thor, who negotiated with Galactus for Firelord's freedom. In exchange for releasing Firelord, Thor provided Galactus with an Asgardian construct known as the Destroyer. Although he retained the power cosmic and was free to roam the universe, Firelord's subconscious compelled him to remain on Earth, the last known location of Airwalker's automaton. Months later, the machine smith accidentally reactivated the Airwalker's automaton, and the android gradually regained consciousness. The Airwalker robot set out to kill the Silver Surfer. Wait,
Yeah.
where was Silver Surfer?
No, see, the Silver Surfer was between.
He was free.
Yeah, he was free.
Okay. But it was instead engaged by Thor, who destroyed the automaton's self-repair circuitry. Upon learning that the Airwalker's existence, Firelord's suppressed memories flooded back, and he took possession of the android. He buried the automaton. The only remains of his friend Gabriel land on an asteroid in the Trancha system near their homeworld of Sandu. That was sad. Okay.
Now, the next hero that we have up is the Destroyer, who actually is a character from the original Thor books, Journey into Mystery, and his first appearance was Journey into Mystery number 118 back in May of 1965.
Okay.
The Destroyer is actually a suit of mystic armor created by Odin to battle the incredibly powerful Celestials. The armor was created of a metal superior to Uru, which is the metal that comprises Thor's hammer, and has been enchanted by Odin. These enchantments allow the armor to contain the powers of various Asgardians, including those of Odin, Thor, and others. Though powerful, the Destroyer armor was far different from the sentient heralds that Galactus had previously employed. When the Destroyer was later stolen by Loki as part of one of his numerous schemes, Galactus did not try to regain the enchanted armor. Instead, he began seeking a new herald.
And next on our list is Terrax the Tamer. He does not look like a tamer. Hoping to find a new herald that would have no qualms about identifying inhabited worlds for Galactus to consume, the World Devourer searched for ruthless, power-hungry, and being to accept the offer. Eventually, Galactus identified Tyros, a tyrannical dictator of the city of Lamech on the planet Burge, as a worthy successor to Silver Surfer. This transformed Tyros into Terrax the Tamer, an immensely powerful being whose complete control over the stone allowed him to move 100-mile wide planets. Wow. What?
It's not a big planet. Smaller than the moon.
I guess.
I can't move it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that sounds impressive to me. As Galactus had hoped, Terrax was immoral and had no concerns about pointing his masters towards inhabited worlds. So by this point, he's just like, I need people on the, like Silver Surfer was giving him worlds that were uninhabited. Right. And this guy was like, I don't need that anymore. I need actual people. However, Terrax was so ambitious, he had no sense of loyalty to Galactus. He eventually began conquering planets for his own selfish needs, and in the end, only served Galactus out of fear. Seeking to escape Galactus' service forever, Terrax eventually fled to Earth, where he took Manhattan hostage and threatened to demolish the city unless the Fantastic Four destroyed Galactus' ship. Galactus was enraged by this treachery and stripped Terrax of his powers, something he had not done to any of his previous heralds. Transforming him back into Tyros, Galactus then hurled Tyros on top of the World Trade Center and left him for dead, but didn't kill him.
All right. Next up, we have Nova. Now, guys, be wary that there are two Novas in the Marvel universe, and they're both good guys. You have Sam Alexander.
Yeah, that's the Nova I'm
is
familiar with.
but now he's Xandarian, just like Firelord. And, you know, that's where the Xandarian police come from.
Okay.
So that police force that you see in Guardians of the Galaxy that's always chasing them.
Yeah.
Those are the Xandarians,
Xandarians.
yeah, and that Nova Corps. That's what the police force is called, a Nova
Because
Corps.
he has like
you know, it's a helmet
and
and a flight suit.
Yeah.
Okay, but now this Nova is quite different. She is Frankie Ray, the adopted daughter of William Ray, who was secretly Phineas T. Horton in disguise. Horton, the inventor of the original Human Torch, became enraged when Johnny Storm began using the same moniker. When Horton tried to reactivate the android Human Torch, his daughter was exposed to the same chemicals used to construct it and gained the android's powers as a result. Perhaps due to the similarity of their powers, Frankie Ray was drawn to Johnny Storm. She began a relationship with him and even began fighting alongside the Fantastic Four. However, over time, Frankie became restless. She dreamed of experiencing cosmic grandeur and spacefaring adventures. When Galactus yet again threatened Earth, Frankie volunteered to become his newest herald to spare the planet. Galactus agreed and transformed Frankie into Nova, a being with the power of a miniature sun.
All right, and next on our list is Morg. While consuming an unnamed planet, Galactus located Morg, a bloodthirsty court executioner. Eventually, unconcerned with his planet's fate, Morg agreed to become Galactus' new herald, even after Galactus destroyed his homeworld. As with all past heralds, Morg received a fraction of Galactus' power cosmic. He later increased his power even further by immersing him with the Well of Life, thereby becoming Galactus' most powerful herald yet. I'm sorry, I changed it. Oopsie. Yes, Morg. But Morg quickly proved that he was also far more vicious than any of Galactus' previous heralds. The Silver Surfer, Firelord Nova realized that Morg would cause the death of untold billions and agreed to join forces against their successor. To this end, they combined their cosmic powers to resurrect the Airwalker android, and the four former heralds battled Morg, seemingly to kill him, but not before Nova was slain when Morg stabbed her in the back. A Silver Surfer flew Nova's body into the nearby sun. And after Morg's apparent demise, Galactus reluctantly accepted both Firelord and Airwalker's automaton back into his service. The first known paired heralds, Firelord and Airwalker, could more easily find uninhabited worlds for Galactus to consume than a single herald alone. That's a good idea. While Airwalker and Firelord served Galactus faithfully, Galactus secretly resurrected Morg, altering his personality in the hopes of making him more attractive. But Morg was kidnapped by Galactus' old foe, Tyrant, and Galactus agreed to let Tyrant keep Morg in exchange for a truce between the two ancient enemies. When Morg eventually escaped, he returned to Galactus and attempted to kill his replacements. The Silver Surfer arrived in time to save Firelord and Airwalker. Tyrant confronted Galactus soon after, and Morg proved his undying loyalty to Galactus by attacking Tyrant with the ultimate nullifier. The resulting blast seemingly destroyed both Morg and Galactus.
Now, Galactus survived that ultimate nullifier by escaping into another dimension, and later returned after consuming the power of Hyperstorm, a villain from an alternate timeline. After this ordeal, however, Galactus' hunger only grew, nearly driving him insane. He became obsessed with consuming sentient life, but was yet again without a herald. He quickly recruited Red Shift, a mysterious herald about which very little is known, and planned to at last devour Earth. Sensing Red Shift's use of the power cosmic, the Silver Surfer tried to convince the herald that Earth should not be destroyed. Red Shift refused to listen to reason, and the two heralds clashed. Redshift used his powers to open a portal to a black hole into which he hoped to send the Silver Surfer. But his plan went awry, and both heroes were swept into the trap. Their battle continued within the black hole until the Silver Surfer unleashed a massive explosion of cosmic energy. Redshift lost his two swords, the weapons which enabled him to open portals, and he remained trapped in the black hole even after the Surfer barely escaped.
After the Redshift's battle with the Silver Surfer, the Federation of aliens and various worlds consumed by Galactus arrived on Earth. These aliens had created a technology that would cloak and conceal other planets from the world devourer. However, they feared Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, would become a pawn of Galactus who would use her powers to make their devices useless. To save his wife, Reed Richards used one of his own inventions to seemingly strip Sue of her powers. Convinced that Sue was no longer a threat, the aliens departed. However, it was soon revealed that Reed had really used the device to swap powers between Sue and her brother Johnny Storm. Thus, Sue became the Human Torch and Johnny became Invisible Boy. Discovering the switch, Galactus kidnapped Johnny and immediately infused him with his power cosmic. Using his new powers, Johnny analyzed Galactus and instructed Reed and Quasar in the construction of the device to remove Galactus' cosmic energy. Galactus temporarily reverted to his original form, that of the powerless Galen, and was brought to Earth. There, the Fantastic Four convinced Galen to exile himself into an energy-rich dimension.
All right. And now we come up on the last two. So Stardust was actually the most fanatical of Galactus's heralds. He worshipped his master like a god. His fanaticism led him to not only seek out new planets for Galactus, but he also hunted down any survivors of worlds destroyed by Galactus so that no trace of these civilizations would be left alive. While hunting down the last of the Corbinite race, Stardust clashed with their protector, Beta Ray B. During this battle, Stardust used his powers to open a dimensional gateway that he hoped would consume Beta Ray and the last of the Corbinites. Instead, Stardust unwittingly released a demonic entity from a cosmic hell known as Astaroth. Realizing that Astaroth threatened the entire universe, Beta Ray and Stardust reluctantly joined forces to stop her. Meanwhile, Galactus revived Beta Ray's predecessor, Alpha Ray, and ordered him to find Stardust and Beta Ray. To banish Astaroth, Stardust created a massive black hole. Alpha Ray arrived as the black hole was opening, and he drove Astaroth back into the rift. Both Alpha Ray and Stardust were also sucked into the void, but Stardust soon escaped and returned to Galactus' side. And the last herald of Galactus would be Anti-Man, who was actually his current. Awesome. So you have to read up on Anti-Man. We're not going to give you this story.
Next on our list is the Beyonders. The Beyonders were their first appearance was in Marvel 2-in-1 series in February of 1980. And then they showed up in New Avengers number 29 in January 2015 historically. And then they retroactively showed up in Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 1, 1984, January 1984. The Beyonders were near omnipotent. I know, I just have a hard time saying that.
Hold on, disclaimer, everybody, disclaimer. I'm gonna let you know what's going on here. We pre-write all of our material so we don't just talk off the top of our head.
Because we be here.
But a lot of these words are not normal words. They're made up comic book words, and then some of them are just big English words that if you're reading fast, you're gonna skip over. So we have a few chuckles on ourselves, and if you want to, you can too.
Yes.
But yeah, we're gonna mispronounce some words.
Yes. Okay, so once they took notice of the Earth, the Beyonders commissioned the New Wally to create the Savage Land and created the Fort Tisquians to be colonizers. The Beyonders occasionally intervened in other universes to allow the creation of the cosmic cubes. Those sound familiar? Should I know about those?
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
The High Evolutionary, when High Evolutionary started to collect the interdimensional mass he needed to build his counter-Earth, the Beyonders took notice and hired an alien Sphinx to observe his progress and to make preparations to steal the planet for them once it was completed. As a part of the biggest experiment yet, the Beyonders created a singularity across every reality, the Molecule Man. Each Molecule Man would take his universe with him once he died, and the Beyonders planned to bear witness to the simultaneous death of everything in the multiverse. However, the time-traveling Dr. Doom and Molecule Man of Earth 616 united forces to thwart their plans by killing every Molecule Man that existed before his natural death. A counteraction in the multiverse timeline was created when the universe of the first victim died with him, forcing two universes to collide, their retrospective Earths serving as a point of impact. The moment in which that happened became known as the Incursion. Soon after being hunted down by the Avengers, the Illuminati sent Yellow Jacket on a mission to find Ravium alive. During his journey, Yellow Jacket witnessed the Beyonders annihilate the Celestials. Eternity, Infinity, Lord Chaos, Master Order, and the In-Betweener, and even the living Tribunal throughout all realities. Later on, the Beyonders killed off all of the multiversal Avengers upon being confronted by them. Using a kidnapped Molecule Man, Doom created a bomb that he launched on the Beyonders after drawing them out of their dimension. The detonation of the bomb reduced the number of the remaining universes from hundreds of thousands to less than 24, but managed to destroy the Beyonders. Doom absorbed their powers afterward and used them to create better worlds. Yep. And that's where we get the A-Force from.
All right. Now we get a big bad from the Marvel Cosmos, and this is Null. He's been in a few storylines recently. They finally whooped. So Null first appearance was 2013 in Thor: God of Thunder #6. His full appearance would have been in Venom #3 in June 2018. Now, his death was King in Black #5, April 2021. Null is an eldritch god of darkness and the creator of the symbiotes. Born from the primordial void that existed between the 6th and 7th cosmos, Null claims dominion over the void and to be its avatar. While he is a god of the void, he is not the primordial darkness itself. Awakened by the light when the Celestials invaded his kingdom of darkness, he created the first symbiote in the form of a sword and a decapitated, he created the first symbiote in the form of a sword and decapitated a Celestial. He used the head's divine power to refine the blade, creating a metaphysical connection between the primordial symbiote and the slain cosmic god, which would be the source of most of Null's tremendous power. In war against the light, Null became legendary divine terror, but eventually found himself stranded on a nameless planet after an inhabitant stole his blade and unwittingly followed in his footsteps. Okay, so now, do you know who that is? Who found his sword and followed in his footsteps?
Was it Black Knight?
No. Let's go back to two graphic novel episodes. What we did, Thor. Remember? Who basically he's gonna be the big bad in Thor: Love and Thunder. Remember, he finds All Black, the Necro Sword, and he goes on a binge.
What do they call him?
Gore, the God Killer.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's the being who stole All Black, the Necro Sword. So now, after he stole his blade, after his blade was stolen, Null began experimenting with his powers. He discovered he could create amorphous parasites from the darkness that he controlled and merge them with lesser creatures. So he decided to use this as a way to corrupt the light. Establishing himself as the nexus of the hive he created, Null proceeded to conquer worlds and form a fleet of symbiote dragons. When two of his dragons arrived on Earth, the young god of thunder, Thor, Odin's son, struck down one of them and severed Null's connection to all of the other symbiote dragons, who dissipated into countless individual symbiotes, while the other would seemingly be killed by Thor in a mid-air battle, its body plummeting to the depths of the North Sea. Merging with the closest host they could find, the hive was now infected with concepts of honor and nobility. So the symbiotes turned on Null and trapped him at the core of the throne world, rebranding themselves as the Kleintar, out of their word for cage. Now, Null was later freed by Carnage when he merged with an offshoot of the Gremlin. Null would eventually arrive on Earth and come face to face with Eddie Brock, who was the host of the Venom symbiote, initially gaining the upper hand against Earth heroes and even killing Eddie. Null's victory was undermined when Eddie's son, Dylan Brock, who was born with symbiote powers, severed Null's connection to the symbiotes. Suffering from many counterattacks, Null was killed when Eddie was revived by the god of light and disintegrated in the core of the sun. And that is Null, the Dark King. Next up, we have the Cosmic Cubes. Their first appearance was in Tales of Suspense, number 79, April 1966. The Cosmic Cube is an item that can control matter and energy, answering to the will of the sentient beings that use them. They require practice to be used properly, but a skillful user can alter all reality to answer to its thoughts, granting anything they desire. Sentient beings wanting to create a cosmic cube must first generate a force field to open a rift to another dimension inhabited by the Beyonders, allowing the extra dimensional energy to filter through the rift. When entering the Earth's dimension, the energies can be held in a matrix, and the force itself would shape the matrix into a perfect cube. It would also provide the cube with its almost unlimited power. A cube will eventually develop its own intelligence, commonly influenced by the beings who it manipulated. Mephisto has postulated that the cubes are host to a semi-sentient will, and that even in cube form, they can choose how they want to be used and to deny certain wishes. Mephisto also has proposed that a billion sentient, universally linked will could overcome this problem, and that the cubes could be as powerful as the Infinity Gems. And those are the Cosmic Cubes.
All right. Next on our list is the Phoenix Force. We've covered the X-Men before, and one of the X-Men, Jean Grey, has embodied this. X-Men number 101 in July of 1976. The Phoenix Force is one of the oldest known cosmic entities representing life that has not yet been born, as well as the forces of creation and destruction. The Phoenix Force is said to predate darkness and is stated to be the fire from which all things were born. The Phoenix Force is an immortal, indestructible, and mutable manifestation of prime universal force of life. Born of the void between states of being, it is the nexus of all psionic energy that does, has, and ever will exist in all realities of the multiverse. The guardian of creation and the de facto guardian, Macrarian crystal, the Phoenix is among the most feared beings in the entire universe, having the power to cut and regrow existence itself, as well as destroy it entirely, in its entirety, which is part of the Phoenix purpose, the judgment of the Phoenix, to burn away what doesn't work. At some point, the late 15th or 16th early century, the Utai of Kunlun and had visions of the Phoenix Force coming to Earth. The red-headed Iron Fist, who would confront it in one version, she lost control and destroyed the world. In another, she tamed its power. Then, walking to the streets, Yuti came across Feng Ji Wu, the daughter of the woman who had ventured off to the outside world and lain with a man from beyond Kunlun. Now, is that the same Conlon from?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about
okay.
she is basically an ancient Iron Fist
Okay.
that they're speaking of.
After defeating Shaolu or Shaolu, Shaolao, okay, and becoming the Iron Fist, Feng Ji confronted the Phoenix Force and became its host. The Phoenix Force attempted to overwhelm Feng Ji, but turned her into the Dark Phoenix, but she managed to maintain control of it. Determining that she needed to leave Earth in order to prevent the possibility of losing control from coming past, Feng Ji ventured off into space, never to be seen again. The Phoenix Force would be called back to Earth when it felt the mind of a human transcend the physical realms, a mind that resonated in the Phoenix's energy. A young Jean Grey had telepathically linked her mind to her dying friend, Annie Richardson, to keep Annie's soul from moving to the afterlife. In doing so, Jean's mind became dragged along the other side with Annie. Phoenix lent its dark energy to break connection and kept a close watch on young Jean, and as a kinship it felt with the young mutant. As the Phoenix was the light and the life of the universe, the Dark Phoenix represented power and destruction. The Phoenix became Dark Phoenix due to allowing human emotion to cloud its judgment. In its state, the Phoenix is its strongest, but it's also an evil entity that thirsted for power and destruction. Totally uncontrollable, Dark Phoenix was a force to be reckoned with, as it was not bound to human consciousness. When Dark Phoenix flew back into space, her true Firebird form was seen across the universe and has even attracted the attention of eternity.
Now, you know this. Now, the Phoenix is basically the what do we want, the Native Americans.
Oh, the Firebird.
The Thunderbird.
Yes.
Basically, that is what they in the comics they draw that connection that they actually worship the Phoenix.
Isn't that? Oh no, that was DC. I'm thinking of DC. Never mind.
Now they had a warpath in Marvel.
Yes, I'm thinking of the actual Thunderbird in DC.
Oh, okay. Now, what do we leave off? Ego. All right. So Ego, who the living planet, his first appearance was Thor number 132, June 1966. And he had a death just recently, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 6, number 18, September 2021.
Now, I wonder if that has to do with the MCU because of what they did.
More than likely. Yeah. More than likely. So now Ego is a bioverse, was considered a bioverse teeming with life, but it's home to, you know what? I wrote this wrong. The universe that Ego is from is considered a bioverse because all of the space in it is filled with organic matter, with the exception of what we would consider space itself. So everything, the stars and everything is organic. But however, Ego is the only sentient creature. He is a solo intelligent life form. And that name is the Black Galaxy. It's not a universe, it's a galaxy. He is able to manipulate the masses by using giant tentacles or even creating non-sentient life forms on the surface of his planetary body. He can eliminate unwanted life from his planet by creating antibodies, which are humanoid creatures designed to eliminate the threat. Even though he is planet-sized, he does not orbit a star. He propels himself through space looking for others like him. He is able to do this through thrusters. Well, actually now, the current iteration of Ego has learned to travel through space without the thrusters, okay? The thrusters are the old school way of moving Ego. When Ego, I can't remember, it might have been Earth that he was coming into close contact with, and one of the hero or a group of the heroes decided that, you know, we can stop this because all we have to do is just plant the thrusters on Ego and he's going to shoot off into space. And so that's how they got him away from Earth, because initially they did not give him control of his thrusters. It was always meant that he could have control, but they basically somebody went down to his planet's surface, got the thrusters put on him and shot him off into the Eel so that he would no longer be a threat, you know. Now, these thrusters were attached to the South Pole. Now, Ego communicates telepathically due to sound not traveling through space. He is one of the few planets to ever fight off an attack by Galactus. And that is Ego, the living planet, who is actually the father of Peter Quill in the MCU, Star-Lord.
Star-Lord's father, but not in the Marvel universe.
Not in the Marvel universe.
Okay. All right. Elders of the Universe origins. They first appeared in Avengers number 28 in March of 1966. The Elders' origins are lost in the early history of the universe. They are some of the oldest living beings in the universe. Each of the Elders is the last survivor of their respective species, most of which evolved right after the Big Bang, the cataclysmic event that the universe was created. Their respective species were the earliest creation of the Celestials.
Okay, real quick, because we're about to end this. The Elders of the Universe have been shown in the MCU as one, the Grand Master, who you dealt with in
Guardians.
Thor. No, in Thor. You remember on the planet that Hulk landed on?
Oh,
Hulk
yeah.
and Thor? Okay, so that's the Grand Master because he was head of the games. That's Jeff Goldblum. And then you had the Collector, who is where the Guardians landed, where he had the gigantic Xeno suit. You know what I'm saying? So
Howard the Duck was in it.
Right. So those are the Elders that have been brought forth. Now we come to the last two, the last big two, the one below. First appearance in Immortal Hulk number 4, August 2018. The one below all is the dark side and a part of the same being known as the one above all, who is the supreme ruler of the multiverse and the supreme embodiment of creation and compassion, which would make the one below all the ultimate personification of destruction and hate. It resides in the lowest point of reality called the below place, from which it rules. Sealed off from the rest of the multiverse through the metaphysical green doors, it manifests in other realities through extreme gamma, the mutagenic third form of gamma radiation. When Bruce Banner fell victim to the gamma bomb, he opened the green door and was infused with the one below all's power, becoming the Hulk. In an alternate future, it would succeed in taking over Bruce Banner's body, eliminating his consciousness and those of his component Hulks, and use his power to devour eternity, ascending in the ninth cosmos and proceeding to achieve its ultimate goal, to eradicate all life in the multiverse. The leader was granted a vision of this future and decided to help the entity fulfill its purpose, though his attempt to do so ultimately prevented it from happening, as in the process, he not only left it without a host personality to think for it, but closed the green doors as well, severing the one below all's connection to the rest of the gamma mutates and leaving it trapped in the below place. And that is the one below all.
And last on our list is the one above all. His first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 511 in May 2004. The one above all is the ultimate source of life and creation, the architect and creator of the multiverse and everything that exists. The one above all is stated that its only weapon is love. The one above all is the source of all good and its being of limitless compassion and light. While rarely seen as the mystery intrigues, the one above all it prefers to watch and experience its creation through many eyes. It is sometimes interacted directly with mortals through different guises. It helped and offered Beta Ray Bill hope when all seemed lost. It even met with and helped Spider-Man when he believed his Aunt May would die and not be restored, and not only restored Peter's faith in humanity, but was one of the few times it fully revealed that what it is to be a mortal being. While the one above all rarely interferes with mortals, it wants them to make their own destinies. It subtly helped them in times of need and presented an opportunity for themselves during dark times. It loves and cares for all of its creation. While it may be disappointed, it feels pity towards those who follow a dark path. It is always present in a way that for anyone to move out of darkness. However, the one above all can also manifest itself through its dark counterpart, and which is the one of below all, to destroy the life it creates in order to begin anew, believing it will renew itself through the endless cycle of death and rebirth of the multiverse. And that is part 1 of the Marvel Cosmos.
Yeah, next time what we'll do, we'll hit up on some of the alien races, some of the worlds, some of the government systems, you know.
There's
yada,
many,
yada, yada,
many
stuff like
parts
that.
to this, and you will see it sometime within 2022, probably later in the year. But these are some of the works cited if you want to do your own research. We did a lot of research here. This was a daunting task, and we are grateful for each and every one of you who listen and do your own research. And
You're out.
not quite yet, Mr. Welker. We also have Comics Plus, and you can borrow or read thousands of digital comics, graphic novels, and manga in the Clayton County Library System. This does require a Clayton County Library card, so no holds or waiting list. Plus, you can get offline access with your tablet, computer, or smartphone. But you can sign up today if you have a Clayton County Library card. If you want to get one, you have to come into the branch and get one. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. It is Asian American and Pacific Islander month. And next up, we will be covering DC's Superman of China series. And that will be on May 24th at 4 o'clock. And we look forward to hearing from you. So you can always email us at cclsfpstaff@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on our YouTube page, which is there on the screen. Or you can reach out to us on the ClaytonCountyPL.org page. But we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.